Okay, so best intentions, you've grown your team to fix the overwhelm and you're still overwhelmed. More people is not going to solve the overwhelm, okay? Now, I've been here. This is one of the most demoralizing moments in a founder's journey. You did what you were supposed to do. You hired the humans, you delegated, you invested in the team, and you are still the one working the longest hours, building the most problems, and carrying the most weight. I see you. I was you. My clients have been you. Now, what's actually happening underneath the surface, growth without structure does not reduce dependency on us, okay? It distributes chaos. You have, think of it this way, right? So you've got more people generating more activity, but without clear lanes, clear ownership, and clear accountability. And that actually creates more coordination overhead, not less. So you're actually managing more, like the madness at a larger scale, right? And as the founder, you become the coordination layer. And coordination, like having to be responsible for all those moving parts, that's not a scalable thing. Okay. More headcount. You thought it would, everyone told you it would. It didn't solve the problem. It just made it a more expensive problem and probably giving you more headaches and less sleep. I work with founders doing 500K or more with 8 or more staff to diagnose exactly where capacity is leaking within their team structure and to build what we call an ownership architecture that lets the business run without the founder being the glue or the sticky tape, right? Now, most founders see a measurable reduction when they're working with us in their own working hours within 90 days. Not because they grew their team, just to be very clear, but because everyone finally knows their lane and owns their lane. So let me show you how we get this done. I'm going to need my whiteboard for this because mapping it out is going to make it super clear and help you to understand where your opportunities are. And I'm all about showing you where your opportunities are. So dream with me, team. Fantastic. We're in business. So what I need you to think about here, you went down the path that you thought was smart. Headcount, right? I'm going to solve the problem by filling the gaps with more humans. That did not sort us out. So, and one of my clients was right there with you. So let me tell you a little bit. They came to me with a bloated team. So too many humans. So, you know, and you've got, it's interesting because when you've got too many humans, your A players will still be A players and your B and C players will kind of just skate by. It's a really interesting dynamic, but that's for another time. So clients come to me and said, all right, I've got 10 people and I'm still working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And we looked at it on paper. You've got a team, you know, you've got 10 people. Oh, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Founder leading the team. On paper, looks good, fully resourced. Now, in practice, every question, every decision, everyone's coming back to this poor founder, right? So instead of being the founder or the CEO, they're responsible for a team of 10. And this was because, and I want you to think about this for a second, they had roles, right? We've got job titles, but what they didn't have was ownership, right? They had tasks to do, so a list of tasks everyone has, but not outcomes that they had ownership of. Job titles, but as much as I've got sort of lanes here, they didn't have lanes. So they didn't have a lane to operate in. And so the difference then is between or what I'm going to show you is the difference between a team with roles and a team with ownership. So roles versus ownership. And those of you out there, I can already hear the cogs turning, right? Okay, ownership, because if I've owned something, I'm responsible for the outcome, right? So stay with me here. Now, if I'm a role-based team member, I know what my job title says. Cool. Yep, I know what my job title says. I know what my job description is. I know the list of things on my job description. Now, an ownership-based team, this is where we want to hang out. They know the outcomes that they are accountable to or for, the decisions they are empowered to make, and the moment at which they escalate rather than execute, right? They know what to do and when to get the best possible outcome. Now, here in the role-based team, the founder is still the operating system. This is not where we want to be. Here in ownership, so you're the OS, so the founder is the OS. I want you to be the architect, right? You're the architect. We want you to be that CEO energy, right? So the shift is not about, to go from being the operating system to the architect, it's not about hiring better people. We need a structure, okay? So we need a structure where the people you already have know exactly what they own. How do we get that to happen? So team capacity diagnosis, that's the first step. So we map every role in your business against the outcomes that the business actually needs. Now, the thing is, I will warn you, a lot of you, when you do this, complete mismatch happening. Don't stress. This is good. This is good information. This is great data because we can do something about it. Now, not the job description, to be clear, the real deliverable, okay? We identify it where efforts are duplicated. Please don't panic when you see that as well, where ownership is unclear and where the founder is filling in gaps that structure should be filling, okay? Now, our client that I'll use as for an example here, I kept saying, don't stress out when you figure this out. We actually found that there were redundancies in the positions. So the business outcomes versus what those job descriptions were, it was kind of like this. There was some crossover, but there was so much redundancy, and they're paying money for these roles. Again, not the team's fault. They've been given a job description. They've been given a role, but we didn't map that to ownership and what the business actually needs, right? So that was the biggest thing that became clear, and we were able to take action on that. Second step is to build the ownership architecture. So each role gets a clearly defined outcome. Now, clearly defined outcome, set of decisions that they own, and escalation triggers for the things that need either your management layer's input or the founder's input. So that's part of it. And we use what we call the team accountability tracker to make this visible. So one page that shows every role, every outcome, every lane. So ownership-based team, let's look at an example. So traditionally, let's pick a role. Let's pick a role, sales, okay? Let's pick a sales role because this was pertinent to my client. So the role is sales. Say, let's pick on a BDM, business development manager. So you've got their position description and the things that their position entails, right? Their role entails. But when we unpack what they're actually accountable for, they might be, let's say you have an OKR or you've made a business decision. We want to grow the business by 30% growth by Q4. That's a pretty lofty goal. If we haven't mapped their involvement to this outcome, and this is an example straight from my client, we're missing opportunity. That's terrifying. So this, when they were sticking to what's just in their role, not what they were accountable or owned, if we'd had the conversation, when we first decided on this KPI or this OKR, we could have worked backwards with this BDM to set him up for success, but we did not. We did. He's in a much better position now, but you can see where the difference between roles and ownership are. Right now, let's pick on marketing now. Let's see our chief marketing officer does the marketing for the business, has a position description, all this cool stuff that they do. Maybe they run Facebook ads. Awesome, cool. So that's part of their position description. But they didn't know that the sales team were gunning for this goal, right? And they're part of the solution to that. They need to drive enough leads that the sales team can work to hit that goal. So if they're not part of that, if they're just doing the things that they need to do as part of their position description, but they're not accountable to an outcome for how many leads that these guys need to grow the business by 30% by Q4, again, disconnect. We don't hit goals, right? So it's really important that we get clear on this and we map this out. So that is your ownership architecture. So sit down, get visibility on this. One page that shows every role, every outcome, every lane, and do not allow there to be silos in your business. Do not fall into this trap of the sales and the marketing silo. These teams need to be working together to get the outcomes that you need. Okay, so there's going to be some crossover there. Now, step number 3, I could talk about this all day in case you didn't notice. Now, align and embed, my friends. Your ownership architecture gets embedded into your team's operating rhythm. So daily, weekly, monthly things that they're doing, right? So check-ins, reporting structures, accountability touch points that do not require you to be present for every conversation. If you know that this is the outcome that your team are working towards, and everyone's working together towards that outcome, and they've got ownership of that outcome, do you think they're more likely to achieve that goal? Hell yeah, they are. If they're stuck over here, just doing the things in their job description, likelihood of achieving it, very, very slim. And the team is going to run. You get to lead. The founder gets to lead. Now, by the time we had finished with this client, we still work with them, of course. We love our clients. They went from this hot mess over here where things weren't being achieved. Don't get me wrong, great work was being done, just not we weren't heading in the right direction. When we moved into this architect mentality and we focused on outcomes and accountability towards outcomes, now they are well on their way to achieving this outcome by Q4 because we brought everyone into alignment. These are the conversations. This is our common language. Founder gets to lead now. They're not caught in the weeds. The team didn't change. Their structure did. And that's the magic. This is the magic of systems and processes. You're telling me this is boring. I'm telling you systems are sexy. So let's work on this with you, shall we? Take the time, book a capacity leak call with me. So founders who book this week, what you're going to walk away with is a live map of where your team capacity is leaking right now, a clear picture of what roles are lacking real ownership, and a prioritized plan for rebuilding the structure, whether we work together after that or not. All I want for you is you to walk away with a practical thing, a tangible thing that you can go and implement. So this isn't a sales call. This is a working diagnostic, and you'll leave with clarity on exactly why adding more people is not the solution. and what you can do about it this week. Booking link is below. I would love to have you.